Howdy folks, it's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. It is after midnight and we are doing one final video on supplemental reading material for Britannia. So basically the historical period ranging from the Roman invasion of the British Isles up through the Norman invasion and conquest of England. So this stack of books I was able to dig out. This is a series called Captivating History. They have a large amount of stuff. You can get this in Kindle format or printed books. These are not super duper scholarly works. These are more general, simple histories. Something that a high schooler could easily read. So if you've got if you are younger yourself or you have a child that is interested in history and you want them to do some reading, you could these, and even a established gamer with a little more education, these can still be good, quick and dirty overviews to give you an idea about certain aspects of history. Now, all these books here, none of them, like in their entirety, like, okay, well, except for one, is like, yeah, you'd read everything in this book for the purposes of supplementing your knowledge about the time period covered in the game Britannia. So each of these has 1, 2, 3, up to 5 chapters or more that would be relevant. Perhaps you'd want to read more to say, well, what happened after this happened or whatnot. And some of these have stuff in them that are specific to other parts of Europe. So particularly like this one, History of the Barbarians, does cover the Anglo-Saxons. So I'll put a little bookmark here to look at the... This one has a number of parts to it. Oh, getting some glare on the page. Let's see here. So it's talking about the Celts are mostly in Iberia and in Gaul, and they have a little bit on post-Roman Irish Celtic stuff. So not a lot there, but we flip over to part 7, the Anglo-Saxons here. We talk about Roman Britain, sub-Roman Britain, the Anglo-Saxons arriving, their origins, pre-settlement history, culture, everyday life of Anglo-Saxon England, etc. So there's a fair bit, the various Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. See, I'm talking about Bretwalda. So East Anglia, Kent, Essex, Sussex, Northumbria, Mercia, Wessex. So as I mentioned in my after-action review for Britannia, that a lot of these places, like in the game, Northumbria is not an area. This would be like Lothian and Bernicia and maybe York or just north of York. Mercia, north and south Mercia. Wessex, at this time where it's referred to as Wessex, is not just that area. It's really Wessex, Sussex, Essex, maybe even on into Kent and Suffolk, etc. So this has a nice big chapter on this here, and other stuff if you're interested in other barbarian history in Europe at the similar time or before. Turns out when I got this, here's a book on the Anglo-Saxons. This is the part 7 in this. If you're just interested in it, you can get this and avoid all this. However, this is not much more expensive than this. This is, I think, less than twice the price of this. So you get a heck of a lot more in this. So I'd say go ahead and just buy this book. Unless you're really, really, really certain. Maybe if you're giving it as a gift to someone, like, you don't want to scare them off giving them this big thing, you could give them this. All right. Dark Ages. Period between the fall of the Roman Empire and the Renaissance. Now, to me, that's a misnomer. The Dark Ages does not extend that far. The quote-unquote, some people don't use that term anymore. To me, the Dark Ages are, after the fall of Rome, up to the point where Charlemagne is crowned as emperor. And so that would be, you know, from 410 through 800. That could be considered the Dark Ages. Now, there's certain parts of the world you can say, well, their Dark Ages starts. When you're getting invaded by Vikings all over the place, you can extend your Dark Age so on and through the 800s and into the part of the 900s, saying like, oh man, these Vikings. So in England, Britain, the Isles, you could go up farther, calling it the Dark Ages, but different. You know, what's the early Middle Ages, Middle Ages, late Middle Ages. There's also, you know, late antiquity, different terms for different areas. So, to my mind, the Dark Ages ended way before the Renaissance started. Oh, we didn't look at the relevant chapters. All right. So they talk about here about the misconception of the Dark Ages, and again, that's you could argue this point or not, but definitely the world after Rome and the rise of the Christian Church. Now, religion plays no impact in Britannia at all. It's not covered at all directly. Behind the scenes, it's impacting, you know, what's going on with the formation of different nations or not, and how they would contend. But it is absolutely not a part of the game at all. Obviously, you'd skip over the Byzantine Empire if you're just caring about the effects. Let's see. Alfred the Great. Okay, so Alfred the Great. Again, I am not familiar with Otto the First, so can't say there. The Vikings. So obviously the Vikings and their impact here. So there'd be a number of chapters that would be important. The beginning material, the Vikings, Alfred the Great. So this is a relatively short book. This is even shorter than the Anglo-Saxon book. History of Britain. So this is a large survey. Now here is here's a map in this one. So this is labeled Wessex and its dependencies. At some point, the Kingdom of Wessex had part of Mercia. Now, Mercia as a kingdom, so obviously over here we have like March and Huis. North and South Mercia would be here, part of which were conquered by the Danes. So they're calling this Danish Mercia. I not heard of this one, the Kingdom of Guthrum. And then here's York, and all up here. So we've got Galloway and Cumbria, and the Pennons are through here. And here's Northumbria, which I've seen Northumbria come to as far down as York, like touching the top of that. But basically Lothian and Bernicia. So table of contents here. So back when Britannia ruled the waves, well, that's an introduction. Back before they ruled the waves. So Rival the Anglo-Saxons, Medieval Madness, those two chapters are what's relevant. Because the Tudors, I do not remember when the founding of the Tudor line is, but that's the 1300s. So yeah, so basically two chapters in here are of relevance. Irish history. Now, Ireland is not in the game per se in Britannia. It is in the two-player version, Dual Britannia. You actually have territories in Ireland you fight over, but the folks coming from Ireland, which are the Irish, the Dubliners, which were Vikings that came and settled in the Dublin area, and then they started fighting and raiding into England and settling as part of that. So the Scots came from Ireland. The early people of the island, Christianity in Ireland. Now, this is post fall of Rome, or before the Christianity had been spreading, and it had been established in England, and was trying to get a foothold. And so the game recently from GMT, Banish the Snakes, is all about the attempt to convert Ireland to Christianity before the quote unquote the barbarians, the Picts, the Saxons, the Angles, preying on the post-fall of Rome, before they overrun all of England, can Ireland be converted to Christianity. That's the whole point of Banish the Snakes. But so again, as a time period parallel throughout Britannia, this is relevant, but in terms of Britannia gameplay, that aspect is not in the original game, but it is of interest to the avid gamer who wants to know more. Norman invasion. So first 4 chapters would all be of interest to supplemental reading for Britannia. History of Scotland. All right. So, medieval strife, Kenneth MacCullum, King of the Picts, and Macbeth, the regicidal king. It doth stand Scotland where it did. So this is the relevant stuff here, yes. Macbeth was a real king. Shakespeare based 98% of all his stuff on real folks and real histories, or operas, or things from other countries, poems, etc. So it's almost always Shakespeare is based in fact, and then he, embellishes and flourishes, creates these great works of literature and drama. So yeah, first 3 chapters here would be of relevance to the time periods of Scotland as per Britannia the game. And another one, history. Didn't you want to have anything? No, it was history of Britain. This is history of England. So again, the British Isles, the larger part, which includes, at different times, Scotland and Wales are not in the influence. England is that portion that is like not Wales, not Scotland. The peoples of prehistory, the Roman conquest, Britannia, the Dark Ages, Alfred the Great, the Danelaw. That is what the Danes, as they come in and what they establish their legal claim over the land and rulership in the Norman conquest. So 7 chapters there. That's about 32 pages. So that could be interesting supplementary. So none of these books were very expensive. You can, if you're a Kindle reader or whatever, PDF type format ebooks, these are available. I am a crazy person that likes books, but of course I have way too many of them, and that's a problem. But so quite a lot of material here. England, Scotland, Irish, Britain, Dark Ages, Anglo-Saxon. And again, this big hefty tome on barbarians includes all of this. So this would be the bargain here. This would be the thing to give to someone who's maybe intimidated by reading, but a smaller book might be of interest to them. So that is my last. I'm sure I'll find my books elsewhere, but I won't do it any more videos on that. We're 14 minutes in here. This is the 3rd Britannia-related reading list video. You, by all means, if you want to, add comments, suggest books. I may or may not already have them, but other readers, myself, would be interested in things that you found particularly interesting of history of the period related to basically Roman invasion of the British Isles up through and including the conquest of the Normans into England. So that is it, folks. A reminder, if you haven't already do so, please subscribe, like the videos, hit the little bell to get notifications. You can turn that off if you don't want too many, or you can set it to personalized, which is sort of the mid thing where you get notifications but not for everything. It's not too frequent. So Thank you for watching, and to all you good folks out there, take care and ciao.